Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Podcast with Emily and Michael.
Hey guys, we're really happy to have you here with us today.
We hope you're doing well.
And today we're talking about something very personal, very normal, and very important,
Yes, today we're talking about when you need more space.
which is such a real topic.
Very real.
Because sometimes life feels too full.
Yes,
Too many people, too many messages, too many plans, too much noise.
exactly.
And in those moments, people often feel one simple thing.
I need more space.
That's so true.
So, maybe we should start with a simple question. What does needing more space mean to you?
For me, it means needing a little room to breathe again.
That's a really good answer.
Thank you.
I think for me, it means feeling like life has become too close, too loud, or too full.
Wow. Yes.
Like everything is coming at you at the same time.
That is such a good way to say it.
I think many people know that feeling.
Definitely. Do you think needing more space always means something is wrong?
No, not at all.
Same.
I think sometimes people feel guilty when they need space.
Yes. That happens a lot.
They think, why am I feeling this way? Why can't I just be normal? Why don't I want more people right now?
Exactly.
But I don't think needing space is a bad sign by itself.
Me neither.
I think it's often just a very human signal.
That's such an important point.
Sometimes the mind and body are simply saying, this is too much for me right now.
Yes. And that deserves respect.
Definitely.
What usually makes you need more space?
Too much social energy.
That makes sense.
If I've had too many conversations, too many plans, too much contact, I start feeling full.
Yes.
Not in a bad way, exactly.
Right.
Just full.
I understand that.
What about you?
I think I need more space when life starts feeling too noisy.
In what way?
Too many messages, too many things to answer, too many small demands, too many people needing something.
That's very real.
I think one of the fastest ways to lose calm is when everything starts asking for your attention at once.
I completely agree. I think space is not only physical.
That's a very good point.
People often think of space as distance,
Yes,
but sometimes you need emotional space.
definitely.
Mental space, too.
Yes,
Time with no demands.
exactly.
Silence.
Less pressure.
A slower rhythm.
That's so true. Do you think people understand their own need for space well?
Not always.
Same.
I think some people notice it quickly,
Yes,
and some people only notice it when they are already tired, irritated, or overwhelmed.
that's a very important point.
Sometimes the first sign is not, I need space.
Right.
Sometimes the first sign is, why is everything annoying me today?
Wow. Yes.
Or, why do I feel so tired around people?
Exactly.
Or, why do I want everyone to stop talking for 1 hour?
That is so real. I think needing more space often appears first as irritation.
Definitely.
Not because people are bad,
No.
but because your system is full.
Exactly. I also think people confuse needing space with not caring.
That's such a good point.
They think, if I need distance, maybe something is wrong with me, or maybe I don't love these people enough.
Yes,
But I don't think that's true.
me neither.
You can care about people very much and still need some room.
Absolutely.
In fact, I think needing space can help you come back in a better way.
That's beautiful.
I really believe that.
Me too. Because if you never take space, sometimes you start showing up with less patience, less warmth, and less honesty.
Exactly. And then the connection becomes harder anyway.
That's such an important point. Do you think some people need more space than others?
Definitely.
Same.
I think some people are naturally more social and energized by contact,
Yes,
and some people need more quiet time to feel balanced.
exactly.
I don't think one is better than the other.
No, not at all.
I think people just have different rhythms.
That's a very healthy way to see it.
I think so too.
I also think life changes how much space people need.
Definitely.
Sometimes you feel open and social,
Yes.
and sometimes you feel like even one more message is too much.
That's very real. I think energy changes all the time.
Me too.
Stress changes it.
Sleep changes it.
Work changes it.
Emotions change it.
Exactly. I think one mistake people make is expecting themselves to always want the same amount of contact.
That's such a good point.
But real life is not that fixed.
Definitely. Do you think phones make this topic harder?
Very much.
Same.
Because now people can reach us all the time.
Yes. Messages, calls, apps, group chats, updates. All of it.
Exactly.
Even when you are alone, you may not feel alone.
That's so true. I think many people are physically in a quiet room, but mentally still surrounded by other people.
Wow. Yes.
And that can be very tiring.
Definitely.
I think one of the biggest modern problems is that people don't get enough real space.
I agree.
They get fragments of time,
Yes.
but not enough true quiet.
That's such a good distinction.
I think true quiet means no one needs anything from you for a little while.
That sounds amazing.
It really does.
I think a lot of people need that more than they realize.
Definitely.
Let's talk about relationships for a moment.
Good idea.
Because I think needing space can become sensitive in relationships.
Very sensitive.
Why do you think that is?
Because people can take it personally.
Yes, that's a big reason.
If you say, I need some space, the other person may hear, I don't want you,
Exactly.
even if that's not what you mean at all.
That is such an important point.
I think communication matters a lot here.
Definitely.
Because needing space is one thing,
Yes. Yes,
but how you explain it also matters.
exactly.
I think it helps when people say, I care about you, I just need a little quiet time.
That's very good.
Or, I'm a bit overwhelmed today. I'm not pulling away from you. I just need to rest my mind.
That makes so much sense. I think honest language makes this much easier.
Definitely.
Otherwise, people start guessing, and guessing often creates more pain.
Exactly. I also think some people are afraid to ask for space because they don't want to look cold.
Yes, that happens a lot.
Especially kind people.
Very true.
They don't want anyone to feel rejected.
Right.
So, instead of asking for space, they stay too available.
And then they get more tired.
Exactly.
I think that's one of the hardest patterns.
Me too.
Because the person is trying to protect everyone else's feelings,
Yes.
but not protecting their own energy.
That's such a good point. I think a healthy life needs both connection and space.
Definitely.
Not only one.
Right.
Too much distance can feel lonely.
Yes,
But too little space can feel overwhelming.
exactly.
I think balance is the real goal.
I agree. Do you think people notice they need space in their body too?
Definitely.
In what way?
Tension, tiredness, irritation, heavy feelings, wanting silence, feeling too full inside.
That's very real.
Sometimes the body understands before the mind says it clearly.
That is such an important point.
I think people should listen to those signs more.
Me too.
Because if you ignore them for too long, the need for space usually becomes stronger.
Yes. Softer signals become louder signals.
Exactly.
I think one thing that makes this hard is that modern life often rewards being always available.
That's very true.
Answer fast, show up, stay connected, keep going, be reachable, be responsive.
Yes.
And all of that can make people feel like space is a luxury.
But I don't think it is.
Me neither.
I think some space is necessary.
Definitely.
Not for everyone in exactly the same amount.
Right.
But in some form, yes.
I completely agree.
I also think space helps people hear themselves again.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, when life is too full of other voices, it becomes harder to know what you really feel.
Yes.
But when things get quieter, your own thoughts become clearer again.
That is such a good point.
I think some people do not know what they want, simply because they have not had enough space to hear themselves.
Wow. Yes. That feels very true.
I think so too.
What does healthy space look like for you?
Usually, something simple.
Like what?
A quiet room, no messages for a while, maybe tea, maybe music, maybe just time with no pressure.
That sounds very Emily.
I know.
What about outside space?
A walk helps too,
Definitely.
especially if it's calm and I don't need to talk.
That makes sense. For me, healthy space often looks like less input.
That's a very good answer.
Less talking, less phone, less noise, less urgency.
Yes.
I think, when I need space, I don't always need some huge dramatic change.
Right.
I usually just need less.
That's such a good point. I think needing more space is often really about needing less pressure.
Exactly.
Less emotional pressure.
Less social pressure.
Less mental pressure.
Less noise.
Yes.
By the way, if you enjoy listening to Simple English with us, don't forget to subscribe to Easy English Podcast with Emily and Michael.
And if you think this episode can help a friend with English, feel free to share it with them.
We'd really appreciate that.
Okay, let's keep going.
Let's talk about guilt for a moment.
Good idea.
Because I think many people feel guilty when they need more space.
Definitely.
Why do you think that happens?
Because they think space means distance, and distance means something is wrong.
Yes.
Or they think good people should always be open, warm, and available.
That's very true.
But I don't think healthy space makes someone bad.
Me neither.
I think it can actually make someone more honest and more balanced.
That's such a strong point.
If I never take space, I may become less patient,
Yes.
less kind,
More irritated.
more tired.
Exactly.
So, the space is not the problem.
Right.
Sometimes the lack of space is the problem.
Wow. Yes. That is such an important sentence.
I think so too.
Do you think asking for space gets easier with age?
Sometimes, yes,
Why?
because people start understanding their energy better.
That makes sense.
They see what happens when they ignore their limits too long.
Yes.
And they become a little more honest about what they need.
I agree.
But I also think some people still struggle with it for a long time,
Definitely.
especially if they grew up trying to please everyone.
That's a very important point. I think people who are very sensitive often need space badly, but ask for it late.
Yes, that happens a lot.
Because they notice everyone else's feelings first,
Exactly.
and their own need comes second.
I think that's one reason this topic matters so much.
Me too.
Space is not only about comfort,
Right.
it is also about self-respect.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I really agree, though.
So if someone says, I think I need more space, but I feel bad about it, what would you say?
I would say needing space is not a failure.
That's a very good answer.
It doesn't mean you are cold, selfish, or broken.
Definitely.
It may simply mean you are tired, full, or overwhelmed.
Exactly. What would you say next?
Try to ask for smaller space first, not dramatic distance.
I like that.
A quieter evening, a little less messaging. One slower day, 1 hour alone, small real things.
That makes a lot of sense. My answer would be, explain it gently if another person is involved.
That's very important.
Because space feels safer when it is clear.
Yes,
Not silence that makes people guess,
exactly.
but simple, honest words.
I completely agree.
I would also say this. Don't wait until you are completely overwhelmed.
That is such a good one.
Small space early can help more than huge space late.
Wow. Yes.
I think that matters a lot.
Me too.
So, what is one thing you want to remember about this topic?
That needing space does not mean I care less.
That's beautiful.
What about you?
That space can be a kind and healthy thing, not a bad thing.
I love that.
Me too.
So maybe the message of this episode is simple.
Sometimes people do not need more noise, more plans, or more contact.
Sometimes they just need more space.
Space to breathe.
Space to think.
Space to rest.
And space to come back to themselves again.
Exactly.
So that was our conversation about when you need more space.
Thanks for spending this time with us on Easy English Podcast with Emily and Michael.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the channel and share it with a friend who is learning English too.
We'd really appreciate that. Take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye, everyone.